Hey everyone, how are you doing? I'm happy to have you all joining us from around the world. If you're new here, welcome to the family. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Today we don't just have one story but two. At first glance they might seem unrelated, but when you dig deeper, there's definitely a connection. First, Hamas suddenly decided to release an Israeli-American hostage. Then there's news that Qatar is gifting a plane to former U.S. President Donald Trump. So, we want to understand what's really going on behind the scenes, who's playing who, and what exactly is happening in the region.
Peace be upon you, and welcome. I hope you're all doing well. As you know, Hamas still has some hostages, and Israel is insisting the war continues. Netanyahu's claims that he cares about the hostages don't seem genuine. He's just using them as a pretext. Anyway, let's get to the point.
There have been negotiations recently between the U.S. and Hamas.
The mediators, Egypt and Qatar.
What's really strange is that Israel wasn't involved in the talks at all, and apparently didn't even know about them. For the first time, the United States held direct talks with Hamas, even though America officially labels Hamas a terrorist group. This is a major shift in how the United States is handling the Palestinian issue. This isn't a coincidence. There's already been tension between Trump and Netanyahu, and I mentioned that before in a previous short video. The hostage in question is named Aiden Alexander, a bit of an unusual name. His family lives in the United States, and he holds American citizenship. Trump's envoy, Witkoff, was reportedly in the region, in Amman, for nuclear talks. At the same time, United States Secretary of State Marco was also active in the region. As I'm speaking to you now, Israel has agreed to a temporary ceasefire and stopped drone activity to allow a safe passage for Aiden. Yes, that's really his name. I'm not joking. Apparently, Netanyahu found out about all of this from the news, just sitting there watching TV when Trump made a statement about it. Though some say Israeli intelligence, Mossad, heard through their sources in Gaza that Hamas was negotiating with Egypt and Qatar. This whole situation is a diplomatic slap in the face to Netanyahu, and shows how fractured his relationship with Trump has become.
Here's an important question. Why did Hamas suddenly agree to release this hostage, especially when there's no exchange for Palestinian prisoners in return? Netanyahu said Israel had nothing to do with it and wouldn't release anyone. He even gave Hamas a deadline to offer a hostage exchange deal. Hamas wants to trade hostages for a permanent ceasefire. But Netanyahu refuses. He wants to keep fighting, saying he needs to destroy Hamas completely. But now we see a shift. Why would Hamas release someone without getting anything in return? Isn't that a bargaining chip? Well, let me tell you, it's a big move. First, Hamas wants to show goodwill to Trump to push for lifting the blockade on Gaza and get humanitarian aid in. Second, it's a diplomatic snub to Netanyahu, basically saying we're moving forward with deals and you're not even invited. Also, keep in mind that both Egypt and Qatar are involved, which is another diplomatic slap to Israel. For example, Egypt has reportedly refused to welcome the Israeli ambassador. He left a while ago and hasn't been back. People talk about normalization, but there's a big difference between peace treaties and full-on normalization.
Now here's the other big headline. Western media is going wild because Qatar decided to gift Trump a presidential jet worth $400 million. People are freaking out. Why? Because it looks like Qatar wants to give Trump this plane so that if he becomes president again, he can use it as his version of Air Force One, the official United States presidential aircraft.
The U.S. Constitution actually prohibits things like this. A prince, president, or ruler from another country is not allowed to give gifts to a U.S. president. But Donald Trump says, no, I'm not going to take it for myself. It'll be registered under the Pentagon, and they'll hand it over to me just for the duration of my presidency. Still, that's not allowed either. Even if you're president, you can't just receive special perks like that. And just to be clear, this whole idea of registering the plane in Trump's name is completely out of the question. He'd get himself into serious legal trouble in the U.S. if he tried. The story isn't that the jet goes straight to Trump. The plan is for it to go from the Emir of Qatar or the royal convoy there to the Pentagon. But the question is, why is Qatar giving Trump a plane during his presidential term? This kind of thing has never happened in modern history. Now in the U.S., legal and ethics watchdogs are raising red flags. Everyone is saying that this can't legally happen unless it's submitted to Congress and approved by a majority vote. That's the only way it would be allowed. So why all the fuss? Why is Qatar doing this? Well, one reason is that Trump has repeatedly complained about Boeing and issues with the aircraft he uses. Just last February, he had complaints about the plane he flew in on his way to his Palm Beach resort. Sure, it sounds minor, but the timing of this gift is what makes it interesting.
The gift coincides with two major events: the release of the Israeli-American hostage, Aden, which was just announced yesterday, and Trump's visit to the region. And not only that, he's heading to Saudi Arabia soon for a Gulf Cooperation Council summit where the U.S. and Gulf leaders will meet. So, when you connect the dots, it doesn't seem like a coincidence. The jet gift, Aden's release, and Trump's visit are all lining up in a way that looks very strategic. Now, could Trump announce some big historic move on the Palestinian issue while he's here? That jet might just be part of the buildup. And there's a lot of talk going around in the media. One of the controversies in the American press is about Trump and his family. Remember, he's a businessman, a billionaire in real estate and construction. His daughter Ivanka also runs a business. Basically, the whole Trump family is involved in business. And yes, there has been business between the Trump family and Qatar, dating back not just to Trump's last presidency, but even before that. So that adds another layer of complexity to the whole situation. Bottom line, we're seeing a lot of things happening behind the scenes, like a complicated game of political chess. I can't tell you exactly what's going on, but I'm laying it all out for you clearly. Sure, we could dive into conspiracy theories, but let's just wait and see how things unfold. Eventually, the truth will come out. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Here at S News, we're committed to bringing you fair and balanced reporting.